Welcome to Connect with Carla B. I'm sitting with someone that I've partnered with for the better part of the last 9+ years to impact the art scene here in Saint Petersburg, Florida. And it's funny because when I'm thinking about I'm sitting with him, so he's a giant. So if I say that, you might start to feel who I'm talking about. But we've done some impactful things together. Some things that have transformed the feel of 22nd Street. Some things that, I'll just say it, went global, right? Because when the city of St. Petersburg decided to do a collector's guide, it was the artwork that this artist created that we worked on in collaboration that graced the cover of that guide. So that next level artist is who I'm talking about. And in the tribal sense, he goes by the name ZuluPainter. And he may seem like a Latino in our community because his name is Carlos. So if I'm Carla and he's Carlos, we've done some things together. So, dear Zulu, let's see, you're the man. I'm gonna say that. You're not just a man, but you're the man. And I could say that because I know you some. Instead of starting this interview by asking you to introduce yourself to us, I'll give that a second. Do you remember how we first connected? How did you first connect with me?
Ouch.
Oh, was it ouch? How did our relationship surpass? His and my relationship never got off the ground, and yours and mine are like so intertwined.
Ouch. I knew Ouch from the art scene.
Okay.
And Ouch was like, Carla Bristol? I was like, I don't know Carla Bristol. Well, Carla Bristol has a gallery over here in the Deuces. You gotta come check her out. I'm about to go check her out now. You wanna come? Yes.
And that's right. So y'all both came into the gallery. And then, but I think he was checking me out for the first time. To me, I don't think I knew him prior.
No?
I think y'all both walked in and I got to know you both. And I think I took a look at both your work at the same time. And then we decided to do a show before I could blink. You and I were doing a show. And yeah. And then his show never happened.
Well, because Ouch is more of an erotic artist.
Yes, but I was willing to take that risk. I'll leave it right there. I was ready and willing and able. So if I were to ask you to introduce yourself to us the way Miles Davis would introduce you, if Miles Davis was here to introduce you, how would you introduce yourself to us? And meaning, what are the important things for people to know about the core, the essence of who you are?
Community unity.
CC. Carla and Carlos. Community unity. So CU. Community unity. Unity in the community. What do you mean by that?
I mean that I've known, even just from working with you, the power of the community, the power of people coming together with one goal, and it happened clearly, it happened concisely, it happened strongly, it happens thoroughly, because people are working together. That teamwork makes the dream work.
So when we think of you, and it's true though, there has never been a time where I have called on you where you haven't trusted the process and that we're going to do this because it's what we need to do, what we must do. I remember when our original goal on the onset was, hey, we see art going up everywhere else. What about our community? And how do we expand that? And we single-handedly, intentionally decided to add to the, let's call it the quilt, that is known as the Deuces. And we just would meet and okay, what else? And what would be significant? What has historic significance to this area? And how do we add to that? So not just oh, I'm going to paint a pretty face. You were creating the history of the street through art.
Mm-hmm.
And are you, well, first of all, it's interesting that I've never ever met this brother of yours. I don't think I've ever met your brother. So you're a twin, identical twin, and I've never met your brother. And yet, all we know is that you're both two brilliant artists. How did your mom produce two artists? How did this happen?
I don't know.
She's not an artist?
She's not an artist. I have one uncle who kind of did a little art, but he was not the influence. It was school. It was great teachers, educators who, like, art was a thing. Art was a focus. Art was a way to escape poverty. Which
is interesting because normally they say broke artists, like they don't, they don't promote that for men of color. It's kind of like you must be slacking if this is what you're trying to pursue. And in most cases, it's after you're gone that people are celebrating your work. Mm-hmm. But I mean, your footprint is all over this country. How do you go from I want to be an artist or I'm an artist and to, you know what, I'm willing to work where it calls me?
It just happens. It calls you, right? Like, even knowing you, I know that things come to you that are in your lane, that those the things that you're able to address and are able to directly impact. And so the art stuff is my lane, and it comes. And there's people in our community and other communities that see art as a way to uplift and unite. And I'm available at those times, and it happens.
And you're a collaborative spirit because I've watched you share. And a lot of times artists work in their own bubble and they're just head down focused on themselves. And I found you to be, and I'm going to use the word leader in the art space here for us in our community, because if I call you on something, you're typically pulling somebody else in. I mean, you're the muralists that have taught other artists how to do murals, which is like larger than life, right? Because you create, stories worth of art that hits you right in the face. But so all of it, as I've seen, if I think back, is so centered around culture. Why is that important to you?
To focus and to draw attention to culture for me is important because I felt like I lacked that growing up. I lacked that representation. I lacked the visuals that go along with the American dream. Because there's like kids. I remember being a kid, majority white school, like a group of boys who, by any other actions, there was no racism or anything like that. But I remember like the boys talking about, oh, I like this girl, I like that girl, I like this girl. And then one boy saying to me, oh, but you can't like that girl, Carlos, because you're black. You know what I mean? And so things like that have affected me. And I've been, I think, that a little bit too aware as a child of those things. I remember going to a church, low income. They would send buses and vans around to the low income housing places to pick up kids to take them to church. Went to one church and everything that was bad was black. You know what I mean? Like that black cowboy. The cowboy in black is the bad guy, and the cowboy in white is the good guy. And so I've always sought to put out there visions of what I am and others like me, kids who are just wanting representation. Like, and it's hurt sometimes because no one ever questions a person of any other ethnicity for painting a picture of their ethnicity. You don't see a TV commercial and say, oh, there's only Asian people in that TV commercial, so this product is only for Asian people. But it seems like it happens with black folks, if we show an advertisement with all black people in the advertisement, that is just for black people. If you show a movie that's got majority black people in it, that's just for black people. But that's not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Like representation, we're supposed to be able to like have a movie, a TV show that's majority black, but it's for America as a whole, not just for one segment. You know what I mean?
So as a father, is some of what you're doing for your children? And if so, how?
I would say yes. Not intentionally for my children, but for generations to come, you know? And when you spoke of like collaboration, I am an identical twin, so I'm used to a team.
So it's your nature.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't
your nature.
Yeah, I don't feel complete without other people being a part. And I know that can be good and bad, where I should feel whole alone, but sometimes you just feel like you need other input and I do anyway. I don't like to like take my word as like the golden word.
Right.
I want other people to come and give me a little input. You know what I mean? It's a thing.
And then just let's go back to how we connected, and what does the connection what did that connection mean for you to then get connected to me, and then have us do things together? And I'm going to use the word trust, because I think when you have the relationship between an artist and a gallerist, there has to be a level of trust, because we all know I didn't do contracts. I refused. I was like, I'm out of corporate America. I'm rejecting all things corporate America, and I'm going to do, as long as it works for us, I'm going to work with you. If it doesn't work for us, I don't need any legal thing to bind us together. And there was just a tremendous amount of trust that you showed, not even knowing me, in terms of leaving your artwork, in terms of, so a lot of trust. So what did having that kind of connection mean for you?
It meant a lot. Just getting to know you, when I met you immediately, it was a familial feeling. Like you're one of those people that it feels like we already know each other. And I've heard that from a lot of people about you, by the way.
Wow. Yeah. And then lately when I'm interviewing people and I go, do you remember how we connected? And, people say, like, I'm hearing this more and more. They say, it's like you've always been here. So it's something is there where it feels like I can't imagine this fabric without you in it, because so I don't even have to remember how you got. I'm just glad you're here and you're a part of the soup or whatever.
Agreed.
So you said it felt like family. And
trust was never a thing that I like second guessed. There was never a moment, like I've done work with people before and it felt like, the time is ticking.
Right.
Where's this check? Where's this opportunity? Where's this callback? A lot of people can't even call you back. You're on it. And that's something I want all the time. It makes me feel good to know that person values my time. They respect my needs as well as their own, and then that makes the team come together.
Right. And then I remember times where you're like, but you're helping. Why won't you just represent me? And I said, no, if I represent you, then it's not fair to other artists, because then I'll spend all my time promoting you. When I would just like to naturally promote you because I love what you're doing, period. So we've had that as well happen. But I enjoy your work, right? And more importantly, I've enjoyed working beside you. And I feel like, I have the complement to your strengths. So that's why, it works. You're allowed to do what you like to do, be the creative that you are. And I'm a creative, but then I have that other side to me. So I like playing in creative spaces where I can add that other, because they'll say Carla Bristol will professionalize canvassing, professionalize. And at the same time, I reject all of that, but that's who I am. And I can't help be that. Sometimes I ask people, like, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? So like, what would you rather be doing? Or are you doing exactly, what you want to do? Do you feel fulfilled in your spirit, to have this opportunity to live spilling your creativity out for the world?
I am doing exactly what I was called to do. Like, as a kid, it's always been art. That's the feedback I got back from people, positive feedback, encouragement about the art. And so the art has always been a mainstay. You know, every kid has dreams, fireman, astronaut, all those kind of things. But those are usually the standard dream. But art has always been a part of it, and it's always been something that I got a direct one-to-one return on. You know, I put the art out and people respond to it, and usually it's been something positive, so then I continue that, you know.
Tell me about a time when maybe you hit a wall or a roadblock just simply because of your race.
That happens sometimes. It's like people assume, like I said before, with the art, if it has a black face in it, there's a segment that will be like, oh, well, this doesn't fit because it's obviously for a person of color, when it's just supposed to be a story that fits everyone. You know what I mean? And as far as the walls go, I believe that the walls happen when the people see that image and they're like, oh, well, let's not use a face. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
because subtleties, yes.
Right. So there's enough quality in the composition for it to be something that they want, but they are fearful that because there's a black face on there or brown face on there, that it might deter another segment of the population from wanting to gravitate towards it, when that's not the way it should be, and we need to change that.
Right. You know? But you know, I mean, I cannot go inside of the people who feel that way. I can't go inside their heads. I know they have a responsibility to potentially hear our story, which I don't feel obligated to share with them, right? Because when I share it, I'm re-traumatizing myself every single time. Like me asking you that question, I recognize that's a vulnerable question because I already know the answer. So we know we experience this so frequently. It's not infrequent, it is frequent. And sometimes that's why sometimes I say me having these episodes of Connect with Carla B is a way of allowing people to ear hustle into conversations essentially that I have with people that I know that I've connected with. So like that, somebody may not even think, they may not realize that that's something that you as an artist are experiencing, but it's the reality of what it. So they'll say buying while black, driving while black, so creating art while black. That they would be okay going to the Caribbean and buying something on the roadside or in some country in Africa and saying, oh, look what I brought back. But painting and beautifully painting the reality of our people right here in America seems to be a struggle. I'm not, you know, and again, it's not for me to answer that for others that feel that way. But if people are being real with themselves and wanting to see change, then we know art is a part of history. So if I'm painting history, and history belongs to us because we're living it at this time, then it has to be inclusive of more than, I'm going to say it, palm trees, flowers. Right. We love palm trees and flowers, don't get me wrong, but allow artists to create, and the whole idea of modeling, right? So until kids, young people who may aspire to do art, see art that looks like them being created by people who look like them, it's difficult to believe that that's a career choice, right? It's not a career choice for me, but you seem to just effort, like you're constantly working. I remember when I was thinking about you at Bloom and that whole creative space of like this mashup of creatives in all one space, and y'all painting yourself out of the building, in the building, like it's just paintings everywhere. And then there's these shows that happen, but it was just raw. Is there anything like that existing in St. Petersburg now for you? Or what is the close? Because I miss it, so I want to know what's the closest thing to Bloom and the spirit that Bloom was created in, existing here in St. Petersburg right now.
I mean, the closest thing to the spirit of what Bloom was is the fairgrounds.
Okay.
So Bloom existed as that type of entity before the fairgrounds, before even Meow Wolf. I don't know if Meow Wolf is the same thing. Group of artists come and like create a surreal space.
Yeah.
We were already doing that. We didn't have the funds to make it what a Meow Wolf is or what a fairgrounds is, but we already had that. And it was something that changed all the time. It was like always in flux.
Yes.
The fairgrounds is something that's stays the same for the most part or whatever, and changes a little bit. And that's a standard. That's a draw, Yes. But there's really nothing like that energy.
Because it was raw. It was so raw, and what was interesting is that whether I looked forward to, so even though I was a gallerist, I looked forward to, okay, now I'm close the gallery, now I can still go over there and catch this show. And I remember bringing young people with me, and they loved it. Nice. So they, this amazement and this wow about art throughout. I'm looking at I'm a textile freak, and I'm looking at these African prints that you have here. Is that for something you're working on now, or just you like to keep it near, or what?
There's a West African restaurant that I worked for last year in Tampa.
Okay. And
so I did West African styling using the textile prints, and there's more of that coming in the future. But that was really a part of it. So
I'll make sure maybe because I'll be going through. I'm trying to set up my sewing room again, and I have some fabrics that are insane, because I really want to get back to sewing and creating.
I just learned how to use a sewing machine, by the way.
Did you? Oh, this is a dangerous. This is a dangerous thing. Like even this T-shirt I'm wearing. I'm like, how can I cut this out and then applique it to something? And so that's how I like to create. I first of all, I love colors. And then, I think that's the island girl in me. It must be. Shout out to my island people.
Big up.
Big up to the island people. So, I think my love for color comes from that. It also comes from, my mom always had white sheets, and she would hand paint the sheets. And so, her sheets in Guyana, so back when clotheslines, because we would have clothes, there was no dryer. You wash that clothes by hand, and you hang that clothes to dry. And if she forgot her sheets on the line, rest assured somebody would steal those sheets. Really? Because her sheets were coveted. And so it's interesting that now she's in her older age, and she is she's in a facility, and apparently they're loving she loves when she gets to do art. So art as a therapeutic form. So if we were to give you all the money, how would you introduce art to young people here in St. Petersburg? Because I find that you're a great teacher, because I've talked about it, how you've collaborated and shown so many people how to do murals. How would you spend if we gave you all the money to help teens in St. Petersburg with art?
First, I'd buy a big warehouse.
Okay.
Make sure it has air conditioning. It's got to be insulated with air conditioning. And we would
as you talk to the farm lady, go ahead.
Right. All the art supplies that we can get. I would get all the artists that I knew that were super open-minded and super giving, and bring them in. And then we would start the flow of young students coming in there, and let them try stuff. First, they need to figure out what they like. So there's airbrushes, there's computers and Photoshop, graphic design, digital, spray paint, brush paint, ceramic tile stuff, mosaics, you know, clay, sewing machines, textiles,
yes,
design, like clothing design, you know?
Do you know, I kept saying that one day I would, and it's interesting, I got to be careful the things I say, because every single thing that I say happens. I put it into the universe. And like, I never remembered that I said I would open up an art gallery that also sold furnishings and textiles from all over the world. And I did it. And then as I was thinking about I was like, wait a minute, you said this like forever ago that you would do this, but it's, you know, we have things tucked away. And if you understand your powers, then you just release stuff into the universe, and then you blink and it's like, I'm living that. That's what I get to do. So I love that. And I love that you didn't have to pause. You're like, give me that opportunity, because there are people that they want to create impact. And so it's important for them to know, like, it's about us matching the resources to the talents. So you have the talents, and the resource exists here. We have a pretty wealthy city. And I think some people could think about, okay, how do I sell my artwork? But I mean, to create the next generation of artists in the community, what? What? Because at the end of the day, the flavor that we bring, you know, it sweetens everything. It amplifies everything. So those young people who are thinking, something I do, you know, you notice it, because instead of focusing on school, they're in school scribbling,
doodling.
And so now taking creativity and helping them to understand that it's every aspect of marketing has to leverage creative
and that's the one thing that we also would need, right? Like that business side. Like we can give them all the talent they want, but if they don't know how to utilize it, take it to the right person, we need that. And I want to just say this. I saw a meme on Instagram, and it was talking about how energy, science, energy is neither created nor destroyed, right? So if that's true, it already exists. Like all this is already here. Everything's already, it's gonna happen. And inside of us, all the potential that we can ever be is already in us. So like when we grow up as kids, we're growing up, they put a governor on us and they say, you're a little kid, you can only do this much. But the fact is, it's already in us to do beyond that little thing.
In our nature, and failure is learned behavior. So the minute we start educating our children so like for me as a parent, I always say my primary job as a parent is to protect the spirit of my child. So a lot of people want to protect a lot of things. I want to protect the spirit of my children, because a broken spirit has a long journey for recovery. So, you know, it's why I moved my son out of public school. It was the white male educator that asked the question, what did you do this summer? And he said, I went to St. Lucia and Jamaica, whatever. And the teacher said, New York. And the teacher said, you're in front of everyone, you're lying about something that could be proven. Because you, in your limited scope of thinking, felt like this young Black child couldn't have been having that experience, right? Because it was just, so I could have said, I'm gonna fight this. I use my energy well. So I said, don't have the time, the energy, or the interest. What I'm gonna do is move my child into an environment where he can be himself, because that is his experience. And this ignorant teacher, by the way, that was at a school being accredited to be for an international baccalaureate. And so it's like, you're trying to create international-minded children, and here you have a child who has traveled, but you struggle with that. Why are you here? You know, so some people just there collecting a paycheck, and
people will try to knock you down,
and they will again ruin, in some cases, the spirit of our children if we are not there. The way I say it is, if I tell you, or like for me, right, you walk up on me, you know I'm confident. because again, like, that's how I was raised. That's how my uncles and aunts, I mean, they raised me to believe like I am so what I tell my daughter is, if I give you that, who's going to take that from you? Who's going to look at you and say you are not beautiful? I tell that to the kids I work with all the time. I say, tell me I'm not beautiful. Tell it to me. And they can't. And I'm like, no, because I want to show you that even if you told, why would I believe that from you? When I've been raised to know that I'm a queen, that I'm a princess, you know, like at almost 55, if you talk to one of my uncles right now, he'll just be like, oh, my curly locks, my beautiful curly locked niece, right? Because that's how I would, with that type of vibration that exists.
Somebody tried to knock me off like that, where they put a post up on, it was social media again, and they were like, well, how can Zulu be inclusive if he's only painting black people? And my response is, do you say that to anybody else? Have you said that to the Vitale brothers?
Yes.
I've never seen the Vitale brothers paint a black person. I don't hold it against them, and I don't fully expect them to have to do it.
Correct.
But no one's questioning that, because like when I see you paint a painting, it's a white lady, it's a white lady, it's a white lady, it's a white lady. It's never, I've never seen them do it. And I don't think that they've ever been approached in that way.
Right.
Are they inclusive because they don't paint any other ethnicity? You know what I mean?
And I always go, I use simple language. And what's the basis for that? So the basis for it is the color of my skin. And you're telling me that you've created a lane and I need to comply based on what you've created, and you're not acknowledging that my lane is my lane and your lane is your, I mean, I ain't questioning your lane, why are you questioning mine?
Right, we're still on the highway.
But that's what I say, like right now, a lot of people miss so much because they're so busy focusing on someone else's success.
Facts. Based
on their standards, right? So you don't know what makes me feel successful because you don't know my journey. So for you, it may be money. And for me, it's that I get to live in my community. And it's weird because I tell people, I'm not born here. I'm not from here. So I could be like, I'm not born in America, or I wasn't born in Saint Pete, right? But when I get somewhere, when I touch down, you know I'm here, right? Because wherever I am, I'm going to embrace where I am while I am there. And so I think that's what we have to be careful of, because who wants, a lot of people do, but who wants a bunch of robots? That's what they want. They want us to be marching to a beat that we didn't create, and we are the creators of beats. Right. So I don't care what you put it into. We're creatives. So we create. So either if you don't like it, look the other way. I don't know what to tell you. Right. Your head does turn, doesn't it? Don't it swivel? So swivel it the other way and let me do me, because what I'm doing is good for those who appreciate it. For those who appreciate it. Indeed. And I can't be everything to everyone at all, ever. I don't aspire to be that, but I aspire to be the best me that I could be. And if you like it, let's flow. If you don't like it, go. Time to go. So you have this new project that you've been doing, because I rolled up on you, and you were painting on the building that we most famously know as the oldest restaurant on South St. Pete, historic 22nd Street or the Deuces, where Miss Lorraine is. And I was like, hey, what you doing? It's creating this. And you told me about a project, an effort that you started with fellow artists. Yes. Tell me about that.
The Mindful Muralists. So we already know that there's a lot of projects, things, entities that could use some art, and art uplifts. And I get emails, phone calls from people all the time that don't have budgets for it, but they have a worthy cause that could use some art, could use some murals that could help encourage children, encourage people. And so the Mindful Muralist is a project to bring together artists who are down for that. They're down to contribute their skills and their art to uplifting a worthy project, not just some business that just wants another billboard this is something that's going to inspire and help people. So we're working to make it a thing, or to make mindful muralists a possibility, to where we're videoing all of it so that people can see it. If a network picks it up, then they can actually pay for those projects.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I can say yes to this project that's in Tampa that I definitely can't afford to pay for myself, because it's like a big wall. It needs a lift. It needs all this paint. I can't, and they don't have the funds. Is Mindful Muralist
a nonprofit? Are you planning to make it a nonprofit? Because you know how it's so much easier, apparently, supposedly, not always, when you have a nonprofit, for people to contribute and then get it as a write-off. So it's not a nonprofit. It's a group of artists saying, this is our gift back. But if it was funded, because every time you do that, you're taking away from doing something that's going to put more food on your family's table. I think people don't look at artists in that way, and they should. So Mindful, if we wanted to get more information about Mindful Muralists, where do we find that?
We're currently putting together a website.
Is there an Instagram, Facebook page?
There is an Instagram page. It's in the early stages.
Okay.
We also want to get the artists paid.
Yes.
So we don't want to just have the artists giving away their stuff, but
because like you said, there's brushes, cans, there's lifts, there's ladders, there's all
clothes
this,
that get drenched in paint.
Right. There's all of this expense with creating, especially something on that scale. So if you think about what it's costing just to do something on a 3x3 canvas, now amplify that
100 times.
Right. 100 times, and know, like, these are not wealthy people, but you gain wealth by sharing. So what made you come up with this idea?
Just the emails that I would get, the phone calls I would get. They were like, there were so many causes that I wish I could go and paint a free mural for. Like, I've worked for juvenile detention centers and painted murals across Florida, and those kids really gravitate towards it. It really helped them, and they know it. And then the art people involved, like, that are actually in those institutions all the time, they're like, wow, the kids are really, like, they're really growing from this. So it's that kind of stuff that inspired me to make me want to do it. And I have friends in production. I've done production work as a scenic artist, and so some of those friends saw the value in what was going on. They were like, man, you should really, like, put something together. And, like, mindfulness has always been, when I heard that word for the first time as a kid, I was like, oh wow, yeah, mindfulness, like,
that's intentionality.
It's intentionality. And so the opportunity came about when my friend, who owns a production company and who was willing to put the funds for the first mural for Al Downing in the Deuces on Miss Lorraine's. He, he's an artist that inspired so many right here from the area. He's a legend. And so it makes sense to, like, give flowers.
Him tribute. And I know that I don't know if you could speak about it, but I know you recently, I don't know if you've completed it yet, you're working on a project with Parks and Rec to do some murals within the rec centers here in Saint Petersburg. How is that?
That's completed now. We've been working in conjunction with the Dali Museum and the Parks, the recreational centers, brought together 6 muralists with myself, and then all the kids that were at these summer camps learning about Salvador Dali. They created art with their art teachers. The art teachers gave me their art. I gathered 6 artists or 6 community centers, and we went in and we painted the kids' art up as a mural. Wow. As a large scale.
That's powerful to be able to go in, walk back in and say, wait a minute, that's my piece. It's now up on the wall. And again, it's so funny that on the onset, I talked about your collaborative spirit. And here you go again. What are you doing? Art management? What you doing? What is that? Is that next level stuff that you are doing? What has been your proudest moment as an artist? outside of being able to pay your bills?
Outside of being an artist?
Just no, just
right?
I know,
but
as an artist, yeah.
As an artist, I can't pick out one single one because everything happens and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting recognition from your peers,
yes,
always feels
yes.
good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's so many things that like somebody might not see the value in. Where a kid, I painted 3 murals at 3 different schools, an elementary school, a middle school, and another middle school. And out in public, when a kid sees me and I don't recognize them because
right.
there's so many kids, they say, "It's Mr. Zulu!"
Right, right.
You know?
It's larger than life.
That
yes.
right there was like so amazing. Because I remember remembering my art teachers as a kid. And like, I'll never forget those people.
Wow.
I'll remember them with more than, you know, not to take away from any of the other teachers, you know, but like art was my thing. So I'm going to remember those art teachers, and they made such a huge impact. And to be able to have that type of impact on kids, and they're going to go into their future, into their lives, and grow and like be able to contribute back to society.
Wow.
In a way that I was also a part of.
So it makes me think, and in most schools, the art department is the most struggling department that people don't want to fund. And it just gave me an idea that I'm going to speak out loud. So I think it would be cool for us to create something where kids who would like art supplies the parents or whomever could sign up for it for them for Christmas. And we actually then provide, you know, whether it's initially we do 50 and we get people to help us fund getting art supplies for kids as Christmas gifts.
I'm down.
Yeah, so that's going to be a thing, y'all. We're doing it, and it's going to be under the Mindful Muralist.
Yes.
We'll put it there, but that this way they get the, you know, art supplies. I was talking to another artist. I talked about, you know, when you do shows, creating some art that's priced for the younger, newer collectors. So that you have to be between this age and this age to be able to acquire this piece. So and that's equity.
Yeah.
Right? That's equity. Because for a young person who may have saved $12, right, to be able to afford a piece of art from an artist that's selling work for blank, but it was made with that person in mind. So that's just something I want to float to you as well.
Yes. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Well,
it's happening.
If
you just put it out there. You said it.
I said it. It's in the universe, and this is my second time saying it, because we want to build young collectors. We want to build an appreciation for art through this younger generation that's coming up. Something tangible that they can actually take and have in their wall, in their room, in their little space, and take with them through life. Thank you.
Thank
you. I always enjoy spending time with you.
Always a pleasure.
I love working with you. I think everybody who have worked with you would say you're a delight to work with. I don't think...
We hope so.
You have a beautiful disposition, and I'm glad that you're part of the artist community that I get to be a part of. Thank you, and I trust that we've left those listening with a few bits and bites to chew on until next time.